Welcome back to Curiosity Class, the podcast where we break down complex topics into easy-to-understand ideas and bite-sized pieces. My name is Jeff Album, and I've been a curious person my entire life. Inspired by Albert Einstein's quote, "If you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough," we aim to make learning accessible and engaging. On this show, we're going to bring you experts from various fields, ranging from personal finance to physics, to help you understand everything from 401ks to how airplanes fly. So let's dive in and satisfy our curiosity together. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Curiosity Class. I'm super excited to be joined by my friend Max Glodde today. Max is the founder and CEO of Mio Continuity, and we're going to be getting into what that is and how you got started and all the fun things. So Max, thanks so much for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff. It's good to see you too. It's been a long time.
Too long, way too long. But that's the beauty of 2025 is you can see people not necessarily in person.
Absolutely.
Dude, so give people a background. Like, who are you? You know, how did you get here? And then what is Mio?
Oh man, who am I? That's a loaded question. No, just kidding. So yeah, my name is Max. Myself and some others, we founded a risk management software company a couple of years ago. And we've been having a really good time with that, get to work with some amazing companies. Personally, my background, I've lived in 8 countries. I started my career with Accenture in the UK. I was in the financial services space, so I'm also a chartered financial analyst. And then I sort of fell into, and I really do mean fell into the insurance world for almost a decade. That's obviously where we met. And I was a business risk consultant for a large commercial property insurance carrier, right? So I helped companies look at and assess what risks are they exposed to, how do they prepare for those. And that ultimately, of course, is useful information for the underwriters, but more importantly for the clients, for risk managers to understand where do we have bottlenecks in the operation, what's going to hurt us the most, and how much is it going to hurt us? That's really important. A lot of people don't necessarily get to that level of detail. And then, of course, kind of the cliche story of, well, we saw that process. It was very manual. It's driven in Excel. It's a great product, right? But it's very difficult to replicate and scale because risk never ends. It keeps going. So we decided to build some software that does that. And here we are today. So we've founded the company a number of years ago. The team's now grown to about 16 people. And, we've been very fortunate that especially over the last 2 years or so, we've gone all over the world to do these risk workshops for companies that manufacture things, that do all kinds of stuff. So we've been very lucky in that sense, but it's also a ton of work, right? It all sounds great when you look back, but yeah, so that's kind of what I do. That's what we do. Personally, one son, another one on the way, love to mountain bike, play tennis, stuff like to be outside, as much as I can.
Amazing. How old's your son?
He's 4. So he's turning 4
cool.
Next weekend. We're going Polar Express, all that. The kids love that.
That's amazing. And you have another one. When's the due date?
March. So
cool.
Little girl. So
dude,
I'm excited for that.
Amazing.
I wanted one of each. There we go. So
boom. We just had our first 6 months ago.
Oh, amazing. Congrats. How are you sleeping?
Yeah, what is sleep?
Yeah, what is that? I always tell them, if someone says, "Do you have any tips for new parents?" It's like, first tip, you cannot bank sleep. So that's not how that works, right? You don't get sleep credits.
Dude, that's such an amazing background. And like, I feel like when we first met, because like you said, we were colleagues at the commercial property carrier, and I remember we connected, and like we had 2 seconds of talk about that, but then like we just hit it off because like I was like, dude, this guy's a stud. You do everything. Like.
But we connected on the real estate. We connected on real estate, right? Like, so that was back.
Yeah.
That was another time where you of course are still doing that with Big Moment, right? And I had at 1.65 units in real estate and had a whole thing going, and that's where you and I just connected on that because that was really fun to talk about, right? And we would nerd out over the Bigger Pockets podcast and all these other things. And I don't do that anymore, but probably should have kept all those properties. That would have been useful. But No, you got to focus on one thing and just hammer it at 110%. So here I am. So,
well, so that's what I was going to say is I feel like anything you do, you go all in on. Like when you were in on real estate, you were all in, you like got to 65 units. When you're wanted to do your startup, you were like, all right, I'm all in, burn the boats, like go do this, bring on partners, like boom, I'm in. Like,
yeah,
have you always had that mindset? Like is that just you?
I mean, my wife will tell you that I'm like, for example, when I first got into mountain biking, right? Like I used to road bike, and then a buddy of mine a couple of years, like 5 years ago said, "Hey man, why don't you come mountain bike?" I was like, "Okay, I don't have a bike." He goes, "Here, you just borrow one of mine." I was like, "Okay." We go out there for an afternoon, 2 weeks later, I buy the most ridiculous mountain bike, right? Amazing. And I just kind of got to get like at that time, all the gear, no idea sort of applied to that. It still probably does in the mountain biking arena, but yeah, man, you gotta go in. You can't half-ass stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then running now doing the startup thing, and I tell this to anybody. I said this on another podcast. If you have an idea, you've been stewing on it, you're working on it, and if you're by yourself. Now I was not by myself. I had co-founders, right? So that's great. But we were just by ourselves and we were comfy. We had a job, we were getting paid. It was cool. You don't really have pressure to do anything. You're just, we can talk about how that affects when you're trying to sell somebody something as well, because that matters there too. But you're just comfortable. It really changed for us when we brought in an external party to help us build stuff, because now you're responsible. That gives you a kick up the ass. Sure, you're giving away some equity, but 100% of nothing is still nothing, right? So you gotta get moving. And the best way to do that is you just figure out how you can hold yourself accountable. And that was our way of holding ourselves accountable, is to each other, but more importantly, somebody that was external to us, that didn't know us.
And so how many people, like when you say we, before you brought in the partner, how many people were you before you brought in the external partner?
Yeah, so we, Chris and I, founding team, right? 2 people, quickly brought on some other people that we knew had the same mindset and were going to be super useful. So the team, since those first 2, then grew to 3 to 4 to 5 and 16, right? So yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's weird.
That's wild. Also in like what, 2.5 years, 3 years?
Yeah, quit corporate 2.5 years ago.
Okay, all right, wait. So I want to talk about that. So how did you know? Okay, so you were stewing on this idea. You and Chris were like, you were kind of scheming. You're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're thinking. When did you know, boom, this is the day that we're leaving?
Man,
like how did you come to that?
That was a lot of back and forth conversation. I think you come up with an idea, sketch it out. And especially if you have nothing to lose, you have nothing to lose. That's fine. But we had a lot to lose. Right? You're giving up a very comfortable job. We really liked where we worked. We loved the team, the people we worked with. Like we cried when we quit. Like it was that, like, it wasn't like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like we loved it there. Right. And so that was hard. So for us, especially when you're building B2B SaaS, so you're building enterprise grade stuff, it takes a while to build that. But you also somehow need to get an idea of who's going to buy it and what's the level of cost. Like, are you going to make money, or like all of that stuff? And when we left, we had gotten enough indicators that somebody would pay for it, right? And would actually buy it, that it was worth jumping and saying, let's take this leap of faith. If we don't do it now, we're never going to do it.
Right.
And, then proceeded to not get salary for 2 years, but that's a whole different story, right? So stuff always takes longer than you think. But that was okay, because we knew we prepared for that. Like you make the right moves. We were also lucky in that we have partners, as in wives, that were making money, right? They were working. So that helped to a degree to offset, you're not just falling into nothingness, right?
Right.
You have something. And me personally, because of the real estate work that I was doing, I was still making money from that. So it was there are very much realities of like, yes, burn the boats, but maybe responsibly sometimes. Cause you got kids, you got a house. You're not just gonna, would I still sell everything to keep chasing this right now? Yes, I absolutely would. I would burn it to the ground again, but, I don't need to, so it's okay.
Right. Which is probably a better position to be in than needing to.
Yeah, I mean, it was scary the first 2. That's weird. Now, listen, my fallback position is everybody's normal, which is just go get a job.
Right.
Because you qualified, right? Like if you're built this way, like fundamentally you have the drive and the energy to go chase something. People are going to want to hire you if you decide to change it. Right. So that's just how it is. So that I took a lot of comfort in that.
And when you say that there was signal that you felt confident someone would buy the product, did you have a first custer before?
We had an early adopter client for sure, but not before we left.
Okay.
They came in later. They came in a few months after that.
And dude, like your background is in finance. Who was actually building out the tech? Like who was building out the software?
We did have a person that kind of helped us with initial sort of proof of concept. And then we moved from that to an agency. We were with that agency. That was very expensive. We were with the agency for a while. So we bootstrapped for a long time. So we were with the agency, paid them a lot of money. And they helped us continue to build out the platform and to make it actually usable. And then we eventually then hired our own CTO. We hired our own people, and we now have our own development team. They're awesome. They really do nice work. And the agency thing is fine. You don't have a lot of control over that. The benefits are that you can scale a team up really quickly, and you don't have to really worry so much about all the HR and all this stuff that goes with it, because that is a real thing. Right. For us, the drawback was more the quality, and I couldn't audit them because I had no idea. Like, I'm not a developer. I have no idea. Like you can show me a line of code, and I'm like, oh, it looks cool.
Right. I like the colors.
I like the colors. Right. So again, what I said this on another podcast place, if you do work with an agency and, just make sure that you have regular checkpoints. If you have a way of auditing what they're doing, do it. The other thing that I will tell you is your gut's really good at telling you when things are not going the way, or, you always like, it's like when you have a contractor come over to your house and you're looking at something, you're like, that looks weird, but maybe they'll fix it. Or maybe they'll, before they put the sheetrock on or before they finish it, it'll be all right. Right now, you and I both know, because we've been in the real estate game, and given the work that we do, I don't do that anymore. I just go ask a question. I was like, that looks weird. Explain it to me like I'm 12. And then they go, okay. And then say, all right, so that's wrong. Let's fix that. Right. Because we all know that once you put the drywall and you finish it, once you finish your app, once you put the pretty stuff on, it's way harder to undo what you did. Right. So it's important to get your requirements right, is what I will say. And that responsibility falls on everybody, not just the developer. They're just going to execute what you want them to do. Right. So,
but so to that point, like, okay, you weren't able to audit them because you don't have necessarily the software background. How does that change by bringing the team in house? Like
Well, so yeah. Okay. Well, bringing the team in house, one of the most important people in that process is the technical lead, right? So the CTO.
Okay. And they do have that ability to audit.
Yeah. And ours is awesome. He's former EY, like super talented guy. His name's Eric. He's cool. And he's been with us now for a year. And he then leads the charge on who do you hire? What are we looking for? Technical assessments, et cetera, et cetera. And he's been great. He's been super useful. So you got to find somebody you can trust that is strong. So that's what it comes down to. If you don't have that technical background, you got to find somebody you can trust to do it.
Sure. And how long were you with the agency before you made the switch to in-house?
18 months. Actually, almost 2 years, I would say. Yeah. Whoa. Because then you have an overlap period where you have to hire your own team. And it gets very expensive very quickly.
Dude, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. And so kind of along a similar point, like when did you make your first hire? Like you and your co-founder, you and Chris, you came on, you guys weren't taking salaries.
The first person that came on was our head of sales, Eric.
Okay.
He came on I think he came on exactly a year after we left. And then
everyone's named Eric?
Yeah, I know. We got 3 Erics. It's a joke. It's a joke, man. It's like we can only hire people Eric, Erica. No, I'm just kidding. We've hit our Eric quota for the time being. We hired Eric.
25% of the company.
I know. It's a joke. We hired Eric in, what was it, a year and a half ago in May. It's funny. His first day was at Risk World, which is the big risk conference, right? So like, I mean, Eric did the same thing. We met Eric. Eric's was at FM too. So he was a risk consultant. That's where we met. Like we were like best friends. So it's like, of course we're going to do this together. Right. And then we hired, then the next hire came in like a couple months after that. And then it just kind of started cascading. It also coincided with, we raised venture money. So that of course helped as well to just be able to keep investing in the team and the growth. Right. So that's, so a lot of the team growth has been in the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, that's so cool. And so it was after you did a raise, you're like, okay, cool. Now we have some cash to go pay people. Let's go hire.
Yeah, hire the right people. Yeah. Now our dev team is they're all near shore. So, you've got Canada, you've got Latin America, because yes, you get cash, but you're not going to go and just burn it.
Right.
On, some of the devs domestically, you see it, a couple $100,000 a year. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's wild.
If they know AI really well, like, they know what they've got. So
right.
It's good for them,
monopoly.
Good for them.
It's great for them. Yeah. Also, if you see headlines of Meta offering, what is it, $1 billion payback?
Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, but the clauses in that contract have got to be like mental. Like there's got to be some crazy performance clause
for sure
that you have to hit. So,
okay.
Because didn't they turn it down?
Yeah, they did. Which is
okay. So there's obviously like, if someone just said to you, if someone said to you or me, said, I'll give you $1 billion a year cash, even if you only make it 1 month, you're going to be okay. Just the onboarding. You're like, this is not going to work out. Okay. I got like, $80 million. Thanks.
Like, yeah, those people like NBA players, professional sports players, like their incomes are so high that it goes beyond like the FDIC insurance. I always wonder, like, do you just get that direct deposited? Like, how does that work?
Gold bars in the safe. I don't know.
Apparently. It's a tangent for a different day.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're hiring out the team, you're building the team. Can we just take a quick back step and like, can you explain risk management to someone who has never heard that term outside the industry? Maybe like, what does that mean? I know it's broad,
risk management. Yeah. That's a big topic. Or
like business continuity planning, like that kind of thing, like to someone who's the uninitiated, so to speak.
Yeah, let's nerd out a little bit. Okay. So principally you have a discipline called enterprise risk management, right?
Okay.
Enterprise risk management, if you had to like really distill that down, is geared towards protecting the value that the enterprise generates, right? And that could literally mean that risk can come from anywhere. It can be operational risk, like how you run your business and you disrupt part of that. Like let's say you burn down a factory, the supplier gets disrupted. It can also be things like reputational risk, which is your company shows up in the media and it's bad for you, or that's so enterprise risk management is very, very broad, and there's a lot of other areas too. Within enterprise risk management, you have a discipline called business continuity management, right? And business continuity management is generally split into business impact analysis, business continuity planning, crisis communication, and emergency response, right?
Okay.
So business continuity management is kind of like the term suggests, is really more geared towards how does the business continue to operate once it is disrupted. And disrupted can be literally, it really depends on what your risk tolerance is, right? For some companies, a disruption could be, think of like CrowdStrike. That's a major business continuity event, right? Something crazy happened. It sits within that enterprise risk management, right? For other companies that, let's say they're heavy into manufacturing, they may not worry so much if a plant is down for 7 days because the impact's not that big, right? So it really is, it's a little bit personal to each company, but fundamentally in BCM, you have those, like I said, four disciplines. What we do,
business continuity management.
Yeah, we sit in the business continuity management space predominantly, right? The challenge that we often see is that companies will do business continuity planning. So they build a plan that says, here's if something bad happens, this is how we're going to continue to operate. This is how we're going to safeguard our customers to make sure that we can keep delivering our products and our services to them. And what we see very often is that there's just a distinct lack of quantification. And what we mean by that is, that's nice. I can give you a plan of like what I'm going to do. But nobody ever says, well, how much does that actually reduce the risk by for the organization, right? In dollars or euros or whatever your currency is. And what we've endeavored to do with Mio is to say, okay, before I even plan for stuff, let me first quantify what's important to the business. Let me connect all my factories, all my business functions, all my IT applications, all my suppliers into all my revenue streams. And let me also connect them to each other so that I understand like domino effects, right? Like if I, it's like the butterfly effect is a better example, right? I do something over here and I disrupt like an app that supports injection molding in a plant, and that piece then moves to another plant to be assembled into a bigger plant, into a bigger product, and then moves to a distribution center, and then maybe moves to a regional distribution center, and then gets to the customer.
Yeah.
I want to understand the butterfly effect and the ultimate impact on trade sales to the customer if this thing over here falls over at the beginning of the chain, right?
Right.
That's a pretty complex problem to solve.
Dude, that's because you're mapping every nut and bolt to
it's basically, so the way that you want to think about this problem is that when you take that, what I just explained for an organization of any size, and you said you want to do that all at once, you're not going to do it.
For
right?
sure.
You know, that concept of when people say, hey, if you set yourself a big, hairy, audacious like goal. Okay, but how do you actually get to that goal, right? If your goal is to map the whole company, that's pretty massive. How do you get to that? You break it down into smaller goals, right? Like if you want to lose 20 pounds by the end of next year, that's that's very high level. Chances are if that's all you say, most people won't hit that goal.
Right.
But if you break it down to like, hey, okay, what do I need to do this week? What do I need to eat? Like we talked about this before this recording. It's like the best success you're going to give yourself when you are trying to train for something is, hey, I just need to pre-plan my week.
Yeah.
And get after it. I just need to execute the plan. Emotion's not a part of it. Anyway. Yeah. Slight tangent there. But the point is, what we really help companies do is the way we've set up our process and our technology platform is that they can eat the elephant one bite at a time. Because risk managers have this monster job, right? They're supposed to span a whole organization or a whole division. And they're getting all this piecemeal information over time to help understand what is most at risk in the business. So what we allow them to do with our technology is just keep adding to their data set, quantify exposures, and say, hey, here are the things that are most valuable to your company. And by the way, we then also capture from all of the different parts of the business, how would the business continue to operate if a factory failed, if a process in a factory failed, or if a supplier stopped working or an application stopped working. We capture all that and we quantify it. So what that then allows us to do is, after we understand importance and exposure, we can then force rank those and say, okay, now based on what is the most important to you and most exposed, now go build continuity plans for those things. There's no point in building a continuity plan for something that you cannot mitigate. Like if you have a particular process that you can only do in one place, and your company has no other option, a continuity plan will not help you because you have no option. A continuity plan only helps you if you have options.
Right.
So what we're doing with these companies is we're taking the business continuity planning that normally happens in this very, very high up in the corporate tree. It's very abstracted often. And we push it down to the things that actually make money. Because if you can protect those, then you're protecting the business. Right. You can have a business today. Companies have continuity plans. I'm not saying everybody, but many of them have continuity plans that sit so high up in the tree. But if you don't know how to mitigate your production or your service delivery, then your continuity plan doesn't matter because you're not going to be making any. You're not going to make any money. It doesn't matter that you have the call tree.
It could be like a couple pages for a huge organization. And you're like, that doesn't seem like it's real. Like
we've seen some fun ones that are like one page. But it's because they often go, hey, let's plan to plan, right? We're going to say, you read the plan and it says, this is our war room, this is our communication tree. And those are all important things. And then when it gets to the actual practical strategy of how are you actually going to continue to generate cash as a business, It just says very often, well, we plan to meet in a war room to discuss our options. And here are some high level options that we think we have.
Right.
We do that the other way around. Let's first look at what are our options. And by the way, we don't just ask like high level. We go to the plant manager and say, hey, plant manager, if that thing over there stops working, where else can you do it? They go, well, based on my 40 years of experience, I would shift this and this to this plant, and I can do 40% after 6 months. And we can then quantify what that's worth and what that protection is worth. So you can see how that information is actually particularly useful, not just to like a CFO or like the board, but it's also useful to insurance carriers because they can better understand now, where do I place my capacity? We've seen many situations where clients are, it goes both ways, but clients are either they're buying a certain coverage that maybe they don't need. And now we can't opine on insurance because that's not our job, right?
Sure.
But we can just help
just give them
principally understand where's the exposure. Maybe it's not always insurance. It could also just be physical risk improvement. Do you like the stuff that you do? Right. Do you, as an engineer, as a risk engineer, you made a recommendation to put sprinklers in a certain area of the plant? The risk manager now has to take that information, or the plant manager, and make a business case to the CFO why they should spend $4, $5, $6 million on that.
Right.
And the first thing the CFO is going to say to you is, well, we don't have any loss history at this site, so why would we do that?
Right.
It's like, well, it's not about loss history. It's about impact to the business. So we help quantify the impact to the business. And if you can demonstrate a material impact in financial terms, you're far more likely to get the CFO's ear, to get their attention, to get the investment, and to make that investment to protect that part of your business, right? So anyway, we're on a little tangent there, but that's principally what the value we deliver through our software and our services, because we also do consulting work. So,
okay. Well, dude, like it sounds like it's not just for, I know it's all under the umbrella of risk, but at the same time, you're almost dollar mapping every dollar of every business. So I'm sure CFOs, like to your point, love this.
Yeah, you know, that's exactly what we do. But you know what makes that, it makes marketing really difficult. Because who do you go talk to? I can talk to a risk manager, right? But I can also talk to a CFO. I can also talk to a supply chain manager. I can also talk to a CISO, because we also map IT applications in that same way. So I can map an application to a production process, and I know how much revenue that production process supports, even if it's not selling a finished good. And I know the mitigation options for that production process, so I can quantify what the residual exposure is.
Right. Butterfly
effect. I can therefore tell you how important that app is every minute, every hour, every day that it's down, based on the butterfly effect. Right. So that it becomes a super useful tool that unifies a lot of different areas of the business.
Right. Right. So, okay, let's say I have a widget manufacturing company with a couple of factories, one in the US, one in Canada, one in Europe.
Yep.
And I come to you, I say, Max, I have nothing. I have no business continuity planning. I have no risk management of any kind. Go. Like, I would love to work with you. Mm-hmm. How long would the process take before you can start to kind of see useful data from my business? Assuming, hey, here's the key to anything you need. Help yourself to anything. Anyone's at your disposal. Like, how long does it take to get the flywheel of data going in order to start answering questions?
Yeah, I mean, that's typical. So it's graduations of detail, right? So typically within the first 2 months, we would have in that example, we'd have your company's dependency map built. We already have financial exposures for all your different locations. We probably would have had some mitigation conversations, so we understand where you're exposed. If you then also had us go to each of the sites, because we do that, we go to sites and we break them down into all of their process areas, their processes, et cetera, utilities, suppliers, IT apps. We do those in 3-day increments. So if you had that scheduled in that first quarter, we would have that answer as well. So if you're an organization of just that size, we would have BIAs and BCPs built for all 3 sites for a lot of your corporate stuff easily inside 6 months.
And BIA is what?
Business impact analysis. So the concept of trying to understand what is the business impact of a location, an asset, an application, whatever it is you have on the organization if it were to be disrupted.
And how is, maybe this is a silly question, but how is that different than a business continuity plan?
Yeah, so a business continuity plan ideally is always preceded by a business impact analysis. A business impact analysis in layman's terms just tells you what's important.
Okay.
Business continuity plan then tells you how does that important thing keep going when stuff goes sideways?
Got it.
Right.
Got it. Got
So
it. Got it.
between
Okay.
the two of them, again, I use this all the time. Context. You use both of them together to provide context to a CFO, to a carrier, to whoever, to help understand what's important in the business and why they should make a certain decision, right? So we talk about you're on the engineering side, you understand that, right? When you create an engineering report for somebody and you give it to them, and it has a number of engineering recommendations for a location where you're saying, hey, I recommend you put in a firewall. I recommend you put in a sprinkler, right? Same example. Like I said earlier, the challenge that these people that people have when they just get that report on their own, it's a good report,
right?
Is they have to add more context around the edges of that because they're going to have to give it to somebody to say, I need you to make a decision. And the first thing,
money.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to spend money. CFO, I need you to spend money.
Yeah.
They're going to go, okay, the report on its own doesn't give me enough contextual information to make this decision because the CFO is trying to prioritize your budget over somebody else's budget.
Totally.
So that's why I'm saying you have to story tell for somebody with data, with their own data. We don't make anything up. We just hold up a mirror to an organization. So here's what it is, right? You got to provide that context and that clarity so that you can make better decisions, right? I mean, how many times have you seen clients that would just roll engineering recommendations forward year over year?
Totally.
Right. Why does that happen? And you're like, well, why are they not doing them? It's like maybe it's because they don't know how to articulate their importance to the people that will give them the money to do it.
Right.
That's it.
Dude, that's amazing. This is so cool. Are there other companies doing something similar, or are you guys kind of pioneering in the space?
You know, we are different in that we really do the quantitative aspects in financial terms. There are a lot of organizations that also quantify risk, but the thing is, a lot of companies are using scales like 1 to 10 or letter grades, stuff like that. And it's okay. There's a place for those things. But if you are able to quantify in revenue terms or in margin terms, you should. If it touches your product, you should.
Yeah.
The danger is that companies that use this abstract quantification, like scale of 1 to 10, they get kind of comfortable with, oh, well, we asked 10 people their opinion on what's important, and some ranked it a 9, some ranked it a 7, and then we added the numbers up or we did some kind of math. Then we get an average, then we put it on a heat map, and now it becomes a red square. Okay. It's an abstraction is what you've done. It's okay. Like, do it. If that's your process, go for it. Right. But then you wonder why that doesn't lead to action, because you still have to explain to someone what a red square means. Right. And then you're arguing with people more over the definition of what's a 9 versus what's an 8. Right. Versus if I show you it's $600 million, there's no opinion in that. It's just 600. It's a $600 million exposure. Yeah. Okay. We can all agree on that. And I think the other thing too, is that we see this often too, is, you know, you hire a consultancy or you do this yourself. Nothing wrong with that. Is they'll go survey senior leadership. And that's to say, hey, what do you think is the most critical? What's the most important? Right. And they'll have an opinion versus saying, let us go do some analysis. I'm going to show you what should keep you up at night. And then what do you think about that? Now, listen, this is all very negative right now, right? But like, there are a lot of risk managers out there that do a fantastic job, right? So it's not all like this, but there is opportunity in that. People, for those of you that are doing this way, just consider augmenting your process with some financial quantification. I'm not saying replace it, but just add that layer, because it'll help a lot with communication.
I feel like anybody, if you said to someone, hey, is this better to have or not better to have? Like, there's not a single person I could think of in the business world that would say this is not better. Like, this is clearly, it is useful to have this information.
It is useful to have, but you also got to remember we're operating in the risk space. So ROI is really difficult to quantify, which is why talk about entrepreneurship, startup world. Our sales cycles sometimes are over 2 years long, because you have to align with people's budget cycles. You're asking someone to spend money on protection for something that may never occur. It's like the insurance thing, right? Like, you're buying insurance. You're like, oh man, like, how many times have you looked at your car insurance and you're going, you know what? If I just change that coverage, it gets like $100 cheaper. Yeah. Yeah. That's all good when nothing's going on.
Sure.
All right. So it's it is a challenge for, and that, by the way, doesn't just go for us, right? I really feel for the risk managers that try to get money to protect the business. It's really hard. Like,
Right. Right.
um, so
Well,
we
so I
try
was
to
gonna
help as much as we can, but it's
is
tough.
there any potential to partner with like the insurance carriers themselves to be offered as like an add-on service to some of their higher premium customers, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Same with brokers, same with consultancies. Like, we're super friendly towards all of that. I think the data that we that clients get, or the insights that clients get, I think it would help them, or it does help them a lot in those conversations with those people. Um, Now, of course, we don't share data with anybody, but they could absolutely benefit. And we do have some stuff in the works with some brokerages where we're partnering with some major brokerages to do this. So it helps the
Okay.
brokers in the conversations with the carriers to say, hey, look, this client's really well protected.
Totally.
And here are all the quantifications. So super
Totally.
useful. Same on the
Yeah.
insurance side. We do have some conversations with some big carriers where we're doing the same thing. So it is very useful information. Yeah, absolutely. It's
Dude, that's awesome.
definitely something that is useful for them.
That's super. That's amazing.
Thanks.
It's really cool, man.
We try.
I kind of knew tangentially the story of how the company started and what it does, but like I hadn't had as deep of a dive. So this is
no, it's good, and then we're also just, we're starting to work with some other software providers. Like, there are broader so your governance, risk, and compliance systems that people buy that do more stuff than we do, and we work with them just to provide them the quantitative side of it. So if a GRC system came and said, hey, Mio, like, can you just give us back the exposure data and stuff like that? So linking in with them and just provide, if our client has them, being able to just with APIs connect the two together, of course, with their permission,
right.
Just making it a more integrated solution is super important.
Dude, that's wild.
There's a lot going on.
All right. So where do you see yourself or the company in 5 and 10 years? Like, what's your goal here?
Man, 5 years, huh? We've just finished planning for next year. Where do we go? There's a lot of opportunity here to go a lot of different places with it. I mean, next year, especially, a huge focus on AI, a huge focus on usability, just continuing to improve. We don't ever want to be the company where someone says, oh, you know what, Mio, that really hasn't changed in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to change in a good way. We work very closely with every single one of our clients on the features they want to see. And it's become this little community where we don't really build custom for any client specifically. What we do is it's almost like a council. Like, the clients provide feedback collectively. We then triage that, prioritize it, and say, all right, well, such and such said this was important to them. Do we think this is important to everybody else? And then we go reach out and have some questions and say, would you use that? Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Or can we talk about that some more? And then you bring those people together. So you're bringing clients together from across industries to talk about and that's really cool. Like, you end up getting some really good insights. So we're going to keep doing that type of work. We, we're putting out some new products next year, specifically for the insurance space. You'll see it. I can't talk about it just yet, but I'm excited for that. And, down the road, 5 years from now, I mean, look, everybody's dream is at some point, do you go public? Do you do whatever from a company perspective? Certainly on the docket. I always say, man, as a startup, looking 5 years out is tough. All I can say is you want to build $1 billion company, of course. That's it. I mean, that's what we're geared towards. So far, I'm just really proud of the team we have been able to build, right? Everybody's really good people. And it matters. It really matters to me. Like, it's, we didn't leave corporate jobs to work with people we don't like.
Yeah.
So we've managed to build a solid team, and we'll keep doing that. So we'll see where that road takes us.
Dude, that's amazing.
We're excited.
That's amazing. Okay. So switching gears just a little bit here, like, you're obviously a very high output individual. As we spoke on earlier, like, can you walk me through like a day in the life, like a typical Tuesday? Like, what do you, like, literally, what time do you wake up? What do you do before work? What time do you get to work? How much are you working? Where do you fit everything in?
The biggest challenge has been working out regularly. I'm an active person, but my day kind of gets turned up. Actually, frankly, I can't really step away for an hour and a half because there's just too much going on.
Yeah.
I usually get up at like 4:45 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Go work out. First thing I do. My son wakes up at, I don't know, 7. So I'm lucky in that. Not all parents can say that,
Yeah.
but generally wakes up around that time. Um, in the mornings, what is that? School drop off is at 8. So I do that every day. Get in, and then the whole day basically is just work until about, 6. Since I already worked out, I don't really have to I don't have to go outside. So it's great. And then, there's a lot of calls, a lot of meetings. Usually there's a lot of travel too. And then,
Okay.
the evening times from 6 to 8 is of course family time. Again, bedtime, stuff like that. And then at 8, it'll be, honestly, it's either work a little bit more or watch some TV or spend time with my wife, whatever it is, right? She has a pretty big job too. So she works a lot as well. And that's kind of the week, right? So, I mean, the biggest thing for me is like going to bed before like 10:30 because 4:45, 5 o'clock's early. That's the week. That's at least the objective of the week. It doesn't always go like that.
Right.
Sometimes you're just like this morning, right? Oh my God. I feel a little under the weather right now. Yesterday too. Didn't go to the gym in the morning yesterday. And then I woke up this morning and I was like, man, you can't skip 2 days in a row. You just can't. So I listen, half of the battle here is just show up every day. So I just rolled. Right. I put my clothes on. I went to the gym. I did a super half-assed workout, but I was there and it was, I was okay. I went, it's cool. I feel good about it. I'm good. So, that's it. It's, if you show up every single day, something will happen. Right? That's it. Like you'll be successful, or whatever success means to you is like, you'll make progress.
Right.
So yeah, that's my day. It's really not, on the weekends I go mountain biking, play tennis or whatever. And that's spend time with my family. Pretty basic like that.
Do you work on the weekends, or do you try to be pretty strict about
sometimes
on weekends?
But I don't. Again, for me, I love Mondays, man. Like only because everybody else is working too. I get excited on a Sunday. Weekends, I sometimes do like creative stuff because I'm really involved in the product development. So I end up doing like the stuff where I just need to sit for 3-4 hours and think in a box. Weekends are great for that. I usually do it. My son still naps during the day, believe it or not. So I end up putting him down for a nap at like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I usually get about 2 hours out of him where he's sleeping.
That's amazing.
And I'll just sit and just noodle on, like, you got to have that free time in your brain to just noodle on, okay, what is this new thing going to look like? Or what are we like marketing? Like, what are we doing? So yeah, man, that's Dude, it.
You're a stud.
Yeah.
You're an absolute stud.
We try.
What content are you into these days? Are you into books? Are you into podcasts? Like, if you're listening to stuff or having inputs, what are they? Yeah, it's funny. People will hate me for this. I don't really read a lot. Because I don't know. I just don't have a lot of time, but, or I don't prioritize it. Let's put it that way. I do have the time. Sure. I just don't prioritize it. For me, there are a few books, or there's one book in particular that I really enjoyed reading, which is The Hard Thing About Hard Things. One of my advisors, actually, Brian, he recommended that to me. I really enjoyed reading that. It really talks about the founder story and just like the stuff you mentally go through, which is, I think, super important. Outside of that, I mean, podcast wise, I move in and out of like various different topics. Like sometimes it's parenting stuff because, that's like making the switch from work to home is hard. Yeah. That's why I don't work from home. I have an office. So this is so that 10-minute drive, like I can switch. But then I'm not a big celebrity person. Like I don't like, to me, they're normal people. I would get excited if I met The Rock. That's just a, big dude, works out, has a lot of discipline, whatever. Seems like a great person. So content wise, yeah, it's really read the odd book, and then I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, as you know. And having these types of conversations, I learn a lot from them. And yeah, that's it. That's me. I like basic TV just to turn on, like Gold Rush. If you haven't watched it, great show.
They do the same thing every episode. They dig a hole, they put the gold in the sluice box, and then they see how much they got. It's awesome. There's like 17 seasons of it.
Dude, you're incredible. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you. And I'm so excited to see where BO goes and like where you go. And yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen you on LinkedIn, your LinkedIn content is unreal.
We try, we have fun with it. It's good. It's
dude,
keep it up.
It just looks so nice. Like all your video is so crisp. Like your microphone, it's perfect. Like it's unbelievable.
Hey, honestly, but for $150, you can get a sweet setup. Like it's
true.
You gotta have like, that's not a fake background, right? Like that's
I know. Your background is like on point. You said always watching.
Just get a nice space. Although we're moving offices, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Like it's not as like I have my own room here. Like
yeah,
I do. And
it's gonna be more open,
too, but it's more open. It's like open concept warehouse type situation.
Okay,
I'm gonna bother everybody with my stuff.
Right. They're like, hey, I'm recording over here. Stop. Shut up.
Like, everybody shut up. We need like an on-air button, just like a big red. Oh man, yeah, man. Look, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me. It's good. You got to enjoy doing hard things, and that's it. And I like it. I wouldn't go back. So
amazing. Well, dude, thank you again. I so appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to wishing you much continued success.
All right.
If people want to find out more about you, what's the best way for them to get in contact or learn more about me?
LinkedIn is probably the easiest way. So it's Maximilian Glodde, Maximilian spelled with one L, or just look up Mio Continuity on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find, and happy to share the story with anybody. And I try to be more involved with the startup community because, again, it's time and got to give back. So
yeah.
All good. But no, thanks for having me on. Loved it.
Dude, thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. See you, Jeff.
All right. Bye, everybody.